That's right. I'm the black sheep, the real black sheep. I'm the black sheep, the real black sheep.
The Democratic Party may be a bigger existential threat to the climate change movement than even the Republican Party is. Now, I know some of y'all are thinking, citation, please, because it's a bold ass statement you just made, and you better have some evidence to back it up. And fair enough. I mean, how can I even fix my mouth to say that, right? CNN just hosted a 6-hour-long town hall on climate change, and if you look at the direction the Republicans are headed, there's still elected officials openly denying the existence of climate change, and Trump thinks it's a Chinese hoax. So I agree that the rhetoric of the Democratic Party is going in the right direction. But what if I were to tell you that earlier this year, Wes Edens, owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, major donor to the Democratic National Convention, and fossil fuel baron, just purchased the largest regional newspaper in the country, and he will now be an executive at 667 newspapers nationwide, including USA Today. Even with all that, I know it's still a stretch to say the Democrats are worse than Republicans as it pertains to climate change specifically. And even if Wes Edens is a major donor to the Democrats and an oil baron who now has control of the largest conglomerate of local newspapers in America, that's not indicative of a broader party issue. It's fair enough, right? We can't definitively point to that and say that this is proof that the Democratic Party is worse than the Republican Party. And again, CNN hosted a 6-hour climate change town hall for all the Democratic 2020 hopefuls. So you would think that, I was wrong, but you may not even see the point of me bringing up the fact that Wes Edens owns the Milwaukee Bucks, right? But, and yes, my centrist straw man that I have invented for sole purpose of this video, I would agree with you on all these points, if not for the fact that the 2020 National Convention will be hosted in Milwaukee, where many of the events will be taking place at the Milwaukee Bucks Stadium. The same stadium owned by Wes Edens, who now owns 7 publications in the state, including the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, the largest daily newspaper in Wisconsin. Wes Edens also owns a liquefied natural gas export terminal in Florida that ships gas to Jamaica and Puerto Rico. He is now over 31 news publications throughout the state of Florida. His firm also moved to open a new natural gas plant and frac sand plant along the Ohio River. In 2017, the firm also requested a permit from the Trump administration to ship liquefied natural gas by rail, which is currently prohibited under federal law. It intends to ship 400 truckloads of LNG per day to that $800 million terminal. Wes Edens, now resides over 6 major publications throughout the state of Ohio. So here we have this billionaire who is deeply invested in the fossil fuel industry and also funding the next Democratic National Convention in July 2020. The same convention that in 2016 cheated Bernie Sanders in the primaries, Matter of fact, let's put aside the fact that in 2016, Hillary had super delegates vowing to vote for her before the first ballot was even cast. Let's put aside the fact that Debbie Wasserman Schultz shut off Bernie's access to the DNC voter database files. Never mind the 20,000 documents leaked to WikiLeaks detailing the disdain that the party had for Bernie Sanders and his supporters. And you know what? Let's not even get into the lawsuit brought up against the DNC as a result to all this fuckery they're doing, in which they didn't even bother to refute the claims that they rigged the primaries against Brother Bernie. Instead, they argued that the DNC has the right to conduct primaries however it chooses, and furthermore, that Bernie Sanders supporters knew the primaries were rigged, therefore relieving the DNC of any responsibility it might have had. Let's not reopen those old wounds, right? Fair enough, okay. Still not convinced that the Democrats may be worse than Republicans, okay? Well, what about the fact that ExxonMobil gave $50,000 to the Progressive Policy Institute in early 2018. It's a Democratic think tank whose parent company is Third Way. The same Third Way that's sitting up on Bernie Sanders' anti-endorsements page right now. And president of the company, which is quoted as saying, Bernie Sanders is an existential threat to the future of the Democratic Party. ExxonMobil has funded climate change denial groups like the Heartland Institute, the Competitive Enterprise Institute, for years. They only stopped funding them in 2007 when activists and journalists pressured them to. They still currently fund right now these right-wing think tanks such as the Manhattan Institute, which received $970,000 from ExxonMobil between 2008 and 2018. One of the Manhattan Institute's senior fellows, Robert Bryce, was quoted as saying, "The science is still not settled." Oh, man. They authored a report arguing that the potential costs of climate change are overblown and that people prefer warmer temperatures and could easily adapt to global warming. But the thing that brings all this full circle is that the Manhattan Institute is also heavily funded by the Mercer family. And the Mercer family is a billionaire family who helped fund Donald Trump's 2016 campaign. And they also actually, the former owners of Cambridge Analytica, and that was a data mining company that in early 2018 came under fire for working with Facebook to harvest the personal data of millions of people's Facebook profiles without their consent. So it was pretty ridiculous when it happened, if you remember. But Rebecca Mercer, of the Mercer family, she runs the foundation and still sits on the Manhattan Institute's board. So if the enemy of my enemy is my friend, then what if my enemies are all friends, meaning the Mercer family, Third Way, ExxonMobil, and Trump, and then my homie, which is the Democratic establishment, is also friends with them too? What do you do then? You know? All right. So, and with West Edens in control of so many small local papers, the fight for climate change has got much harder. You know, because most climate change fights are fought locally, like and meaning they're covered and by local newspaper media and independent media mostly. A perfect example of that is Standing Rock or even Flint, which are all environmental issues. I seriously doubt that that these newspapers will now be working really hard to break the next big fossil fuel scandal. West Edens is also a major important funder to the Democratic Party. And do you think that the Democrats would be more or less likely to break up his newly acquired media empire? A better question is, how do you think he was even able to pull off this deal in the first place? Or do you think he would even been able to acquire all these newspapers if he hadn't donated and supported the Democratic Party so much? It's also odd that after it's announced that West Edens will host a Democratic National Convention in his arena, he purchases all these local media conglomerate, the largest media conglomerate in the country, local media conglomerate. I know that correlation doesn't necessarily imply causation, but I'm just saying, man. I ain't saying, but I'm saying, Now, I don't want to I'm not making this video with the intent of getting people discouraged about the process, or telling everybody man, throw their hands up, fuck it, man, it's a done deal. But actually, completely the opposite. I think this is a sign that we need to fight even harder and just proof positive that the Democrats aren't in our corner, in my opinion. I think we need to pay even more attention than ever, and that's why that's why I jumped in the game of speaking out on this, man. Hopefully people listening. I think the progressive media on YouTube, I think a lot of them are kind of caping for the Democratic Party, and I'm not with that, man. So yeah, man. It's getting really hard to take anybody who perpetuates that right-left divide in elected politics seriously, and not even trying to do a false equivalency. Yes, the Republicans are worse than Democrats on social issues or issues of identity. I'm not saying that they're not. They're racist, sexist, bigoted, all that. Yeah, okay, we know. Yeah, easy. All right, but when it comes to economic policy, and obviously climate policy, pretty much anything else, the Democrats and Republicans are exactly the same, and these issues also affect social issues. They're you can't have one without the other. So I think it's ridiculous, man, to side with Democrats or to take them seriously right now with this going on still. Like literally, a fossil fuel baron is bankrolling the next convention that will decide the leader of our party and who we're trying to make the leader of the country. Okay, I guess, still not convinced by this, what I'm saying? Still not convinced the Democrats pretending to be an ally, but actually siding with the right wing on crucial issues. I'll leave you with this thought, man. So if you were to ask any black person, maybe brown, Hispanic, if you ask any person, would you prefer a closeted racist or an open racist? I think they would choose, and I would choose, an open racist every day of the week. With an open racist, you have a lot more information. You can be, you have a lot more information about that other person, how they feel about you, so that way you can make a more informed decision on how you proceed with that person. You know what I mean? Like, of course, leaving them alone, or just whether you want to confront them on the BS or whatever it is. You know what I mean? You know how to maneuver around them now. But with somebody who's hiding their racism, you don't know their true intentions, and they can be pretending to help you while all the while holding you back. You get what I'm saying? So I think the exact same analogy can apply to the Democratic Party. That's exactly what's happening here, man. They're pretending to be your allies, man, and they're not. And like I said, man, I'm not worried about the Republicans. I know that sounds weird, but it's not like we don't know what they are. We know what's going on with them, man. Ain't no question in my mind. I know I can't trust them. They over there, and it's easy to know. But the Democrats, though, man, they're pretending to be your friends. And think about it like this. The people who hurt you the most are always the people closest to you, and I mean that in your personal life too, right? Your family, your friends. And why is that? Why would that be? Because you don't let your enemies in that close. You get what I'm saying? Like somebody you hate, you're not going to tell them your deepest, darkest secret, right? Because they can use that against you. And why would you do that in the first place anyway? But you get what I'm saying, you're more likely to tell a friend or family member something about yourself or let them into your house. That's why it's family or friends that usually, end up stealing from people. It's a lot less likely it's random people, and it's the same thing with the Democratic Party, man. They're more, they're a lot more closer to us. They're gonna, like the Republicans, we see their BS coming from a mile away, so you're not gonna stand for it, right? But with the Democratic Party, I'm getting away with a lot, man. And I think it's time to stop that, man. It's the people closest to us that harm us the most, And where I'm from, we fight, son. You know what I'm saying? Like whether I love you or I don't, you know what I mean? You're not finna just screw me over, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna fight, And what I mean by that, whether it be physical or like, me just, I'm not finna just stand around while you BSing, I'm not saying we need to, get violent or nothing, but, we do need to fight, man. This is ridiculous, bro. Like I'm not with the just, like I said, I'm not trying to make people apathetic. I really think it's more it's more time. It's more important than ever to vote these Democrats out of office. I'm not saying contact who for what? Contact who for what? Nah, get them out of there. I wouldn't talk to them for find somebody else and get them people out of there. All of them. I mean, like I said, I think the best bet right now is Bernie Sanders. And if I had a choice between change and getting Bernie Sanders in office, I would choose change all day. And it's like, if the people were like, look, man, we're really about this change, but we got to get everybody out, including Bernie. It's a whole new leaf turned over. I'd be like, bet right now, let's do it. Love you, Bernie. I love you to death, bro. But this is more important. The movement is what's more important. You can't, we can't get behind. We can't base everything behind one person. That's how they stop all our movements before. Malcolm X, Dr. King. When you idolize one person, they take out the leader, and then the movement just dissipates. Or same with Fred Hampton. So like I said, man, I don't think the Democrats are serious at all about this. I think this is BS, and it's looking bad, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, because the most important thing isn't just getting Trump out of office, because how did we get Trump in the first place, right? Trump didn't fall out the fucking sky. You know what I'm saying? People were like, you know what? Yeah, let's just vote for Trump. No, man, it's been rough for even these racist white people. It's been hard for them too. They don't realize that it ain't Mexicans and black people that's doing it. It's these powerful people at the top, but they feeling the pains and they're just trying to fix it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't agree with the way they're doing it, right? But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And they're just being lied to by the the dumbass media and all this stuff going. It's ridiculous, man. That's all I'm saying. Make sure you go out and vote in the primaries. I think, like I said again, I mean, I'm a young black man, and even Bernie, in my opinion, isn't completely my ally. If that makes any sense, like because I'm speaking. I want reparations. Like there is genuine problems that need to be fixed here, and I think Bernie doesn't even go far enough. But out of everybody that I've seen so far, Bernie's the closest to it. So, I think this whole just buying into the system is picking you're automatically forced to with the lesser of two evils argument, in my opinion. So the least of all evils in this capitalist system that we're forced to, you're subjugated to be under, I think it's Bernie Sanders that'll get us, the closest to the promised land. So, and the Democrats are gonna fuck them at the end of the day. At least that's why it looks to me. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but we'll see, I guess, right? That's pretty much it, man.